We're here at CES 2009 again. This time we're on the Silverstone booth with Tony. Tony, what can you tell us about some of the things you're showing off here at Silverstone this year?
Okay, this year we're also showing off again our SG04 chassis.
Right.
As many people in the enthusiast circle knows, our Sugo line, SG line, they're always emphasizing packing in as much power as possible in as little space, taking out little desktop space as possible. So what we're showing here is a system packing a 1200 watt power supply inside, along with
this little thing, this tiny little case here, has got a 1200 watt power supply.
Sure, yeah, it's right here.
That's amazing.
In fact,
you've got two video cards in there as well. So you're running Crossfire and a 1200 watt power supply in a case that's half the size of a tower case.
Yeah, it's at 22 liters in volume. It's about
so a 22 liter volume, okay.
And as you can see, there's still some rooms here left.
Right. So
in the middle of this year, when we release the 1500 watt, you can still put it inside if you want to.
So you're releasing a 1500 watt power supply as well?
Yeah, in the middle of this year.
Wow. Okay, so that's some pretty serious power for a tiny little case. So this case has got a solid alloy aluminium handle on top, which allows you to pick it up and carry it for LAN parties. What's the weight like of a system like this? The case itself, how much is it?
It's about I think 20 to 30 kilos, depending on what you load inside.
Okay, so depending on how many hard drives you put in there, of course, and etc. Awesome stuff. That's a very sexy little case we have there.
Following the SG04, we have here the SG05, which we are showing here for the first time at CES. This is a mini ITX or mini GTX chassis. Following the traditional Resto Sugo line, you can pack in a pretty powerful system inside of this chassis that's half the size of our regular Sugo chassis at 10 liters, around 10 liters.
So 10 liter chassis. It's got a massive fan on the front here. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, usually in mini ITX chassis like this, you don't really have much room for a big cooling fan.
Well, usually you have a tiny little fan on the back of the case. It's really loud and doesn't really do a lot of airflow.
Or you have to spin them down to really the low RPM, and then they don't do too much cooling.
That's right.
We want to sort of change that, so people can actually build a pretty powerful gaming system if they wanted to in a mini ITX, a smaller form factor. With the 120 millimeter fan, you can really, get a lot of airflow inside, but still keep the noise down.
So you said a 120 millimeter fan on the front there?
Yes, and we include with this chassis a SFX 300 watt power supply. That's 80 plus certified, so it's very quiet and also very efficient. You can see here in our demo system, it houses a quad-core CPU with the 8800 GTS 512.
So this little thing is also a gaming rig as well, right?
Sure,
you can play pretty much most games out there because what video card do you have in there? Can we get a closer look in that?
You can see it's a double width graphics card, so you can put in a pretty powerful mid-range graphics card like the 8800 GTS, or even a ATI Radeon 4870. Actually, not the 4870. That's a little too much power. But 4850. 4850, still very good.
Right, I mean the 4850 and that level of graphics card can run most games easily. And considering the size of the case, it's amazing. Okay, now we've got the Raven back again this year. This is a completed production model. This baby's available now, right?
This case right here is the one that just arrived in the US office about 2 weeks ago. You can see here the interior of the inside is painted completely black for the window version. This is different from what we showed in Computex.
That's right, yes.
And also now we have all the filters here equipped on the bottom, also on the side. They are removable very easily, either toolless or with screws. And also you can see the finished version has this center brace here. It has these little arms that holds the graphics card in place.
Right.
So that when our customer, the system builders, ship these systems to their end users, the graphics card won't pop out during shipping.
I've heard horror stories about graphics cards falling out of their thing and bouncing around inside the case. Even going to LAN parties and stuff like that as well, if you're moving your PC around.
It really helps.
Having that, those arms there to secure your graphics card is definitely a big bonus. What other features does the case have?
Well, as talked about in Computex earlier, we have two giant 180 millimeter fans on the bottom.
180 millimeter fans. So I mean you don't need really high RPM, so it's not going to be too loud either, is it?
They are spinning at a factory setting of 700 RPMs only, but still providing you with over 100 CFM of air.
Wow.
So that's a lot of
That's
air
a
for
pretty serious
very
airflow.
quiet system.
Yeah.
They're rated around 18 dBA, so it's a very quiet system.
Yeah. I mean, most graphics cards will be louder than that anyway. So.
Probably.
Now, how do we access the front? How does this whole front of the system work?
The front has a very easy, nice opening door.
Okay.
So it comes back up automatically.
So you've got 5 drive bays at the front there, so you can either have a couple of DVD burners in there and hot swappable hard drives and stuff like that, so plenty of expansion room there. The top here we have our USB stuff and that, is that right?
USB,
Yep. Everything's kind of, it's kind of like a stealth fighter, isn't it? You know, it's really,
that was the
really
inspiration
slick.
for this chassis.
Yeah.
Self-fighter, yes.
Awesome stuff. So that's the Raven case. It's available now, is that right?
Yes.
And how much is this retailing for in the US?
Retails for around $220.
About $220 you can get your Raven case right now.